Alrighty, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Virtus Performance Podcast. We're on Season 5, Episode number 2, with the great man, Simon Cooper. Now, before I let him talk, feel free to watch him while I pump his tyres up for the next 30 to 45 seconds.
Squirm.
For those that haven't met this man, those that don't know the context and his incredible contribution to this place, he's a former podcast host back in 2020. He's our former GM, former performance coach, former fellow student, probably copied off you at some point throughout our uni course, but been an integral part of the Virtus family for almost a decade, essentially a decade. Was our biggest supporter before we opened and buying merch from overseas and all of the good things, and here we are 5 years on from our last foray into the podcast world. Simon Cooper, how the fuck are you?
It's bloody good to be here.
It's good to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be back in the seat.
What's been going on?
October 2020 was the last time we recorded a podcast together.
Yeah,
so
and that was when we did a 10-episode series on basically things to help you get through lockdown.
Yeah, and we weren't sitting in the same room. We were sitting staring at each other from a computer screen.
And life looked different.
It did look different, and it looks a lot different now.
Fill the people in, because I've obviously been privy to what's been happening, but a lot of the people might not be. Give us a little snapshot into your last half decade.
Half decade, yeah. I'm a dad.
Shout out to Miles.
Number one role, dad, husband. Still a student, probably.
That might not go away.
Yeah. I went back to uni for a little bit last year, which was good. Ticked another box, but I think the theme, probably definitely over the last 5 years, has been, I guess, more contraction. We spoke off air just before around expansion, contraction, and the seasons that we go through, and the last 5 years has definitely been more of a contraction, focus on self, family. I've stepped away from Virtus in a formal capacity.
Coward.
Still,
which we love.
Yeah, still hanging around here though.
Picking things up on occasion.
Yes, on occasion is the key word there. So full-time dad, full-time husband. I've taken a bit of a dive into the risk and safety space, which is what I do for my day job at the moment, in outdoor ed, which has been a really good learning curve. Definitely not something that I thought I would be diving into 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago. But that's been really rewarding. It's been a really good challenge, and it's been nice to, as I said, get back into that learning mindset, doing something different.
Yeah. It's really interesting to hear you talk about the contraction space, because and maybe it's just a self-reflection and what maybe the 2 or 3 years look like beforehand, right? But in that 5 years, you've shifted jobs, you've progressed through the corporate ladder, for lack of a better term. You've had a son. You've learned what it is to become a dad. You've bought a house. You've managed friendships, relationships, business things. All of it. You've presented to different groups. So maybe the contraction from what it's felt like, because it's just it's a head down, bum up time. But for sure, I think it's been a pretty expansive few years. For sure.
I mean, there's definitely been a lot of milestones that have been passed along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of, buying our first house, getting married. We got Henry.
Yes.
We didn't have Henry.
Shout out to Henry.
Our first baby. So there's definitely been a lot of life goals ticked off, and I'm sure that we've done some goal setting in the last few years where I can look back and say, I've done all those things, which over a 5-year period, a lot does and can happen.
Yeah.
And it's only when you sort of look back that you can say, yeah, I've actually moved the needle a little bit
Yeah.
in that time.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
at the time, it definitely feels slow. And, you know, speaking parent to parent, the you know, the days are long, but the years are short.
Put that on a t-shirt. I was just thinking
Yeah.
about that. Yeah. It's what?
That,
How old Miles now?
I feel like I say that every week.
Yes.
He is nearly 3.
Which we love.
Yeah.
What have the last... So, obviously, look through it from maybe a what life was like beforehand lens, but what is the last 3 years of being a dad, like, you know, being there for Miles as your number one priority, seeing him grow and develop and, you know, move forward in his development. What's that taught you from a lifelong health development perspective?
Yeah. It's been... Well, I mean, there's a bit to unpack there.
Soz.
No, this is what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. That's on t-shirt.
I mean, first of all, so rewarding seeing him grow and develop, and, you know, especially in these early years, it's almost daily. He does something different, or you experience something new. So I think that has been like the biggest learning curve for him and for us as parents, to guide him through that learning process and, you know, experiencing the world. It's been really awesome. Challenging, obviously.
Yeah.
And a lot of responsibility, I think, in moulding him and helping him, guiding him to grow. And I'm sure that, you know, that will continue for the next...
Ad nauseum for the next 6 years.
So
Feels like my parents are still doing that to me sometimes.
Yeah. But I think personally it's meant that, you know, we've had to look inward, and not inward personally, although that is a part of it, but inward into just like our home, and focus on loving and supporting him, loving and supporting each other with Sal and I, and kind of prioritizing what is important to us. And it's meant that we've had to give things up, like, you know, probably focus more on our own family relationships than friendships. And I guess we're fortunate that we've got a lot of friends going through similar stages of life. So, you know, everyone's kind of in the trenches doing their own thing, but you kind of come together and spend meaningful periods of time together.
And there's also an understanding in those shared experiences, right?
Totally.
Of like,
yeah,
we can't we can't go out for Bougie Boy Fridays every Friday for, you know, a wine or a beer and spend 3 hours talking shit. Like, it's like when you do carve out that time, it's, you know, they're either few and far between, or they're less immersive as you'd like them to be.
Yes.
You like that? I was pretty happy with that.
But I think also, you know, we're going through a bit of a phase or a season now where we're starting to come out of our nest a little bit and try to carve out those times again, where we can go out and, you know, feed our own souls a little bit more rather than just giving.
Yes.
Like, for example, last weekend we went camping.
We did.
With the kiddos and our other son, Lilford.
Shout out, Jared. Phenomenal.
And Sal didn't come along to that one. She had a weekend to herself, which was the first time that she'd had a weekend without Miles. So,
which, like, almost 3 years on, like, because you're in it, you don't think about those things. Like,
you kind of forget.
Like you've had a couple, and, you know, like I've had a few, but then you're like, it's so different because you're both in need of, it's this beautiful duality of parenting where you're both in need of time and space and separation and absence in a way. But then when you get it, all you want to do is be back with them. You know, with allowing them to give you the shits and
for sure,
and pull all of your life force out. Yeah. So there is that balance of being like, okay, well, you know, what do I need? What does my family need? What does our relationship need? And being able to then, you know, action those things whilst the treadmill of existence keeps feeling like it's going a little bit faster every day.
Yeah. Yeah, and that balance piece, it's starting to... I feel like we're kind of starting to move into that space a bit where we're getting the balance, maybe not right. I don't know if, there's a right balance.
Yeah.
And maybe balance is the wrong word for it, but...
We've talked about in the past, it's like that pendulum effect, right? It's like when you go too hard to one side, you tend to overcorrect and go too hard to the other.
Yep.
The goal of life, I think, is you're never going to be... have that balance smack bang in the middle, but being able to have that sway of your pendulum as minimal as possible so that you tick the boxes of what's most important for you at that time.
Yeah, yeah. And that means that you have to be really clear on what is important to you and be able to and deliberately set time and energy aside for those things.
Yeah. How have you gone at articulating that that purpose or that meaning for what is most important for you over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think it's been a challenge for sure. My training, as an example, has certainly dropped off compared to what I was doing 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think, minimum effective dose, still coming into the gym, still moving, still kind of ticking that box when I can.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, then I'm trying to do other things like, go for walks. And even those, it's like the minimums that we've spoken a lot about.
Yeah.
It's what is the minimum either set of actions or tasks that I need to do every day to ensure that I'm still kind of moving forward, or at least,
not moving backwards.
So going for walks, and we've got Henry the dog, so he is a very good reason to get moving.
Yes.
A couple of times a day at least.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be really deliberate with how much water I drink and the meals
Do you have a handful of minimums at the moment that you're following?
Yeah.
Is it as structured? Is it on your left? Was on the ground?
Yeah.
Is it as structured as it has been?
No, definitely not. I think journaling, or even like record keeping, is something that's probably dropped away a bit over the last few years.
Yeah.
And I kind of pick it up every now and then and do it for a little while, and then it kind of falls off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of okay. I feel like something that I've really been thinking about lately is the expectations that I put on myself to do things.
Yeah.
And that's not just from a health function performance lens, but also from a relationship lens and career lens, and what are the things that I expect of myself that maybe others don't expect, and am I being fair to myself?
What's your feedback loop for working through that and trying to articulate it? Because I guess it's so hard because so much you're like, is this imagined or is it real? Is it real?
I think it's something that I've sort of, again, it's been challenging me lately, and particularly in this, personally, we've gone through a period of transition in the last 6 months where there's been a lot of unsettledness at home and at work, and kind of across the board. So it's been an impetus to focus on this. Thank you.
Good word, that. Yeah.
So and again, deliberately carve out time to reflect on it.
Yes.
So I've started some therapy, which has been helpful.
Was there honestly a moment, but was there because obviously there's a process of readiness that you have to go through, right?
Yeah, I think it's something that we have spoken about, and I've been thinking about doing for a long time.
Yeah.
Less so from probably for me, less so from a mental health perspective and more from a performance perspective. I've kind of been on that other end of the scale where I'm chasing growth and that high performance, and therapy could be a way to continue sharpening the sword. But I feel like lately, with all the change that we've been going through, it's been more of a tool to support my own health, which then allows me to support the people around me and etc. So Yeah, definitely the last 6 months it's been pretty challenging. So that's kind of been the catalyst for seeking some help.
Yeah.
And kind of going external.
Was it difficult? Like, you've always been someone that's super, from my perspective, super self-aware, super capable of explaining what's going on, how you're feeling, how you're responding to things. So, like, did you have that internal friction of, like, this is difficult?
Yeah, I think so. I think the friction was that my narrative to myself is I am capable. I've got a great capacity to deal with and cope with stress and change.
Yeah.
And it was maybe a little bit difficult for me to acknowledge that now, like, it's gone above my capacity to cope. So, so it's meant that I've had to look at other ways outside of my usual strategies to manage my capacity.
Yeah.
So I think, seeking mental help with my mental health, still trying to tick some boxes for my physical health, creating some space for myself from the things that are stressing me has also been helpful. So it's definitely like a multi-faceted approach.
Yeah. And I think it's like both of those things can be true, right? You can both be super capable, super self-aware, have the capacity to look after yourself and make better decisions and all of those kind of things, and both need help or want to engage in help at the same time, right? You don't necessarily, it's not one or the other. It's not like, everything's great or I'm cooked. It's, there's this spectrum of when we know better, we do better. Sometimes having a level of accountability, someone external to our existence to, discuss things with, because like I first jumped on the therapy train, which is a good train to be on, by the way. It would have been, I reckon, like 2019, 2020 maybe. I reckon it was before. I do think it was before COVID. I had a handful of sessions, and it was through that lens. Hey, everything's going pretty good, but I just want to make sure that I'm optimally looking after what I'm doing and how I am, and I'm able to build my capacity to be more and give more. Whereas your, I don't know if I told you this, but you jumping into it was a catalyst for me booking a GP appointment for a few weeks' time. As the expectations, both real and imagined, on ourselves and other people, and responsibilities of mortgages and real jobs and dogs and kids, and there's a lot of legs that you are responsible for in one way, shape or form, right? As those responsibilities and stresses, for lack of a better term, build and grow and develop, we need more capacity to be able to give our best. And I think that's one of the things that potentially has the capacity to help significantly. Yeah.
Again, I think it's like that expansion contraction piece where you expand your container and your capacity to do things and to manage stresses, but then if that becomes overwhelming, then you kind of contract and your container almost becomes a little bit smaller, so you need to change your approach and put more tools in your toolbox, and gather your allies around you to support.
You hit like 6 buzzwords in the last
sentence. You like that?
Really, you're just fucking ticking all the boxes. But that's, I think that's it. It's almost, and I think, because I've always, like, whenever we talk contraction and expansion, and for those playing at home, essentially it's like, usually where majority of our life we're in a contraction phase where it's like, all right, I need to go insular, I need to just focus, I need to simplify, reduce. For anyone just seen the bear, reduce. Or you're in the opposite, which is like that, I want to grow, I want to learn, I want to listen, I want to read, I want to consume. And both are helpful in their own ways. And I reckon there's a third phase where it's just like, I'm just want to status quo, tick the boxes. But then the more I think about it, and especially now, our lives are so much more complex, by choice mostly. They're so much more complex that you're almost like contraction, expansion in different areas of our life. Like,
Yep.
you know, we've used the 5-star matrix over the years, being health, wealth, career, relationships, and something else. Shit.
Health, wealth, career, relationships, environment.
Being able to measure where we're at in each of those. And I think you can be in, you know, you might be in a contraction phase with work, but an expansion phase with family, and, you know, contraction with training, and being able to build a level of awareness through your journaling, through your conversations, through beers with the boys, the most helpful, through therapy, whatever it is all of them are things that help move you forward.
Yep. I think that you need to have a level of self-awareness to recognize what phase you're in those different areas. Because without that self-awareness, then you end up trying to pour from an empty cup, and you quickly run into, I guess, barriers or blocks because of that. And, you know, and then we get into burnout territory, or territory where we can't cope.
Yes.
And so that self-awareness piece is, I guess, something I've been thinking about lately, especially having some extra space to be able to reflect on what I want, what I can do, and where I want to direct my energy. And that self-awareness, I don't know if that's like a life, just something that builds as you move through life. I'm sure there are ways, I mean, there definitely are ways that you can build that self-awareness, but as your life changes and evolves, then your level of awareness needs to evolve with it.
Yeah, I mean, my experience is there's something about being in your 30s and almost like, it's wild, eh? And almost being in that space where you're like, because in your 20s, it's so much of it is expansion, right? Sure. It's like, what am I going to do for work? What do I give a shit about? What's important to me? Where are my values? Like, you know, what do I want my life to look like? Whereas, you know, obviously timing doesn't matter. Some people land a certain place in their 20s, some people it's 30, some people it's 40, some people it's 50. It doesn't necessarily matter, but you would have had, whether it be conscious or subconscious thoughts around like, okay, like I want to marry the love of my life. Tick. Done. Get around her. Also tick. I want to start a family. I want to, you know, have 4 legs that loves me unconditionally. I want to have a house, a home that I can, you know, put down roots. And you would have had those thoughts. And then when you get it, you're kind of like, okay, well, I know what's important to me now. I know that life is more difficult, both real and imagined. Like, you know, you have real responsibilities. And then it's almost like you almost have to relearn a lot of the lessons that you learn in your 20s again, in terms of like, okay, what do I need right now? What's important to me? Where am I putting my time and energy? Because, you know, there's no, you know, you've got significantly more to do now, significantly more boxes to tick from a responsibility standpoint, but still the same 168 hours in the week. You know, you've got to figure out, it's almost like there's more choices around like yes or no. You know, what do we used to say? Like you say yes to one thing, you say no to everything else, and saying no to one thing gives you the capacity to say yes to anything else. It's the loop, right? Like we're just going through endless iterations of the loop in order to progress and move forward. Put that on the wall. You know, we are immensely privileged to be able to have said that we've ticked those boxes and clocked it. Like grateful to be in the position where we are, where we can, you know, have this conversation and so I guess that perspective is really useful to hold. But you're right. At the same time, we need to continue setting goals and continue, you know, moving through the loop: goals, problems, diagnosis, design. Yeah, it's just that having the capacity for feedback. That allows us to either continue on or do something differently that allows us to be better. Like with Virtus hitting 10 years, you know, a couple of months ago or a month or so ago. Congrats by that, by the way. get around us. Wouldn't have one without you, so thank you. Like it's given me a reflection piece on like so many lessons I've had to relearn 6 or 7 times, or maybe 2 or 3 times for most of them, and around what's important and things like that. And it's almost like you said before, you kind of feel like you're coming out the other side of the parenting not parenting space, but the parenting struggles, because it's always difficult, right? The problems just change as they get bigger. The problems get bigger, but the way I feel it, like we're a couple of years ahead of you guys in terms of like Lucy's almost 6, Billy's 4. I almost feel like it's easier that you do get some capacity back. So if anyone's in the trenches right now, I promise you'll feel like you get the capacity back.
We see you.
Yeah, it's days where you're like, this is never going to be the same again. And it isn't, but you almost like come out of it, I feel, and this is the times of struggle upon reflection will strike you as the most beautiful. It allows you to kind of get out the other side and go, okay, well, I know how much more capable I am now. I know how much, I'll still have days where I'll crack the shits at the girls or get grumpy at myself or not do the thing I said I would do. But the capacity to overcome that, reflect on it, move forward, I feel as though for me, and I've seen it for you, is so much more. And now, I feel like I'm going through a little renaissance with my own health and well-being now that I've got a little bit more space. It's like, it's so much easier to stay ready than to get ready. So being able to build that capacity back, health and well-being wise, there is a trade-off. It might be less time with the girls, or it might be less time with KP after the girls go to bed, or it might be less time at work. But for me, the last 12 months has been like I need to carve out time for myself, because otherwise, I'm a worse dad, I'm a worse husband, I'm a worse boss, I'm a worse coach of Virtus if I'm not looking after myself better.
Both from a physical perspective, but also from a mental perspective and the expectations piece, because if you're setting this expectation that I need to be in peak performance, peak shape, and I keep failing at that, then you're beating yourself up. It's not helpful for you. It's not helpful for the people around you. And so it's kind of the balance piece of setting realistic expectations and realistic goals with the practices that will help you reach them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think the feedback loop that we've used for a long time is those 4 questions from old mate Cam Schwab. What does winning look like? What do we need to be good or better at? What do we need to do? And then how we know? How we know, because essentially what we're talking about is what does winning look like? Most people don't know exactly what they want, or they don't take the time, and this is my opinion, having many conversations with a lot of you guys, they don't take the time to figure out, okay, what is it that I'm actually working towards? Is it, fitter, faster, healthier? Is it more space? Is it better time management? All of these things. And then if you know where you're going and you have a pretty good idea of where you're at, what do I need to do? What do I need to be better at or good at goes, okay, well, I need to be better at, integrity, doing what I said I would do, or showing up to the gym, or or carving out, what my week looks like on a Sunday. And then the doing is easy, because you just, like you said before, hit your sessions, drink your water, hydrate. We did a podcast episode on the big rocks. You'll be able to search back, which is essentially just and it's almost annoying that this shit that we've been talking about for 15 years.
Not easy, simple is the most important stuff. It's nail your sleep, and yes, there's controllables and uncontrollables, which is a whole other conversation, but nail your sleep, manage your stress levels so that the stress is good stress, make sure you got the adaptation side of that, hydration, nutrition, time with people you love, and then essentially you're 80% of the way there from having the capacity and the container to be able to do and be what you want. Yeah. Personally, the real challenging piece, it's not an information problem. Coming back to, we've spoken about this before around, Logan Gelbrick and
shout out
adaptive versus technical challenges. It's not an information problem. We have all the information that we need to
just chatty moi moi what you need to do.
Yeah. Chatty G wasn't a thing when we last spoke.
Imagine if it was. That would be wild.
during COVID. Yeah.
Um,
So it's not a information problem. It is a it is an action problem, really, right?
Yeah.
And that's the challenge, to hold yourself accountable to delivering on what you want to and say you're going to do. And I think, and that's the hardest thing that I struggle with.
yeah.
So it's about putting structures and systems in place to outsource.
Yeah, but it's and probably another element of that is almost like, which I think, and the more I reflect on it, and a lot of the conversations I've had lately have all been centered around like, making sure that the reason you're doing it is the right reason, or the thing that you're wanting to do. You've got a really clear justification for it.
Yep.
I've been using the analogy a lot lately of like, before we cut down the tree, make sure we spend some time sharpening the axe. But I think almost the most important part of that is like, make sure you're cutting down the right tree, because so many of us have these assumptions around what we want, and a lot of them are driven by societal expectations around, maybe around certain wealth things, or like new cars or big jobs, or all of these things, and we end up carving out too much space for the hunt for those things and not enough time for the things that actually fill us up.
Yep.
Like personally, you have that like comparison trap, which I think I'm pretty good at most of the time, because I've thought about these things and we've had these feedback loops through the conversations, but you almost like, you look at, what's this other person doing, or what's this other dad doing, or how are they doing this, or things like that. And it's really hard to, there's almost a dissonance between like, if we don't have this self-awareness of like what my life looks like versus what I want it to look like.
Yep.
And that gap is almost like, for some people it's fast. It's here's what I want to be, or here's where I expect to be, but here's where I'm at. Where in reality, like, we have everything we need right here, right now. If we just shift the perspective to, like, we mentioned at the start, like how far you've come over the last 5 years, and what's actually happened. Everything costs twice as much and takes twice as long as you wanted to.
Yeah.
And when we realise that, and we go, okay, well, fuck, life's actually pretty wonderful when I am present, show up for myself, and move forward.
Yeah. What's the saying? You overestimate what you can do in
3 months, and underestimate what you can do in a year.
Yeah. So it's like, create those big, ambitious, audacious goals for yourself, and reverse engineer that to where you are now. And I think that's a good process to go through to identify, because you've got these two anchors, the thing that you want, the person you want to be, and if you have really clearly identified or articulated what that is, then you can work your way backwards.
Yeah. What is it that you do to better articulate what that is personally?
The outcome?
The outcome being almost like what it is that you want, which doesn't necessarily have to be, a particular thing or a particular outcome. It can be an ideal.
I don't know what I want.
No one knows what they fucking want.
Happiness, sleep.
And this is almost like the part I love about this conversation, like, is the unknown or the, like, the articulation of that, because it doesn't matter what you say. It's like, you can have anything you want, not everything you want, make your choice and get on with it. Because hypothetically, if you go, I want the fancy new car. Okay, what do I need to be good or better at? Saving some cash, maybe.
Yep.
And what do I need to do? Well, I need to have a plan on saving the X amount of money that it takes to buy the car. Yep. And then the how will I know? Well, I'll have ticked off those certain milestones, and you get to the end of that and you're like, fuck, I really didn't want the car. Yeah. But the process of becoming and doing those things and carving out those actions, as long as we live day to day in a way that is supported by our values, that aligns with what our principles are, and allows us to be the best version of ourselves. And it doesn't matter if you get there and you're like, I didn't like the car. Insert any arbitrary goal there. But I think it's like, it's about being, and this is the self-awareness conversation that will probably come up every time we have one of these conversations. But the more self-aware you are, the better you are at understanding yourself, and the better you are at reflecting on, the thoughts that occupy. And
Yep.
I fell into a little bit of a rabbit hole, Alan Watts rabbit hole last week,
Existential.
which we love, around consciousness and the self. And I got into the look this diagram up because it's fascinating. The Jungian Carl Jung, his diagram of self, which is essentially, you can look it up now if you want to look at it, but essentially like, where our subconscious beliefs and conscious beliefs meet, where our ego sits and what our self is. Because, and I mentioned, and I had a little chat to Nina about this last week around like being the observer of your thoughts rather than being the observed. And what, the analogy I like to use is the sitting by a river, watching your thoughts go by. If you need to, dive in and explore them, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. And being able to carve out, like, here are all the positive ones. Here are the ones that I know. And for me, my feedback loop is like, is this useful or is this helpful?
Yep.
Whereas, a lot of the conversations I would imagine you have at work, that you have with different groups you present to, around change and communication and leadership and things like that. And so many people just get absorbed or in those negative feedback loops, or this is why I can't do it.
Yep.
And we've studied enough, potentially asterisk, to understand that the way neuroplasticity works is where your energy, where your energy goes, the goodness flows. I don't know, I just made that up, but if I can put it on
Sounds
t-shirt.
good.
But then, like, if you focus on the good shit in your life becomes more, like, there's more space for attention to that. And vice versa, if you're like, my life sucks, this is shit, I'm getting older, I don't have time for myself, I'm, getting fatter, I'm getting slower, all of these things, it's like, well, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I think, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I think you are your thoughts is what I'm saying, and being able to build out the self-reflection to examine, to add more quotes to the pile for today, is like, an examined life is not worth living. Oh, put that on a t-shirt. I think that was Seneca, but I could be wrong.
The thing that came up for
discuss.
me, the probably the biggest thing that came
Go on. What do you got?
Came up for me there was around values, and that's probably another thing that values underpin a lot of our decision making, our goal setting. They're the things that drive our actions. Yep. So if we're really clear on what our values are, then that supports in that decision making process. From an individual and from a group perspective as well, right? Like from an individual perspective, it drives how we show up in our family, in relationships, in our work, and then in a group. Let's say it's our workplace or our team we're in part of, then that drives our collective approach to making decisions, to creating culture, to building something that people want.
And want to be a part of, and want to contribute to. Yeah, I think the kind of the trident of values, great use of trident, is I think my brain is super visual, so I just have pictures in my head, and like I just thought of like a 3-prong, and I was like, fork sounds lame, let's do trident.
Good.
But like there's thoughts, it might be four. There's thoughts, there's and beliefs. I think they're two different things.
Yep.
There's decisions, and then there's behaviours.
Yeah.
It's like the four. It's a four. It's not a trident anymore, is it? Fuck, it's a quadrant. That doesn't make any sense. It's a four. But these four things, like if we like, all of those are both enhanced by, delivered by, like adhered to by knowing what our values are, knowing what's most important to us,
yep.
and then our values support how we show up for each of those things. Like, I actually this is a question. I mean, they're all questions without notice, technically. Hey, we're going to talk about some things. Like, what are your? Could you articulate to me what your values are at the moment, and then yeah, good. Just making sure. But then also how they might have changed or shifted since we last had a chat.
Yep, I think. So I've been thinking a lot about this lately. I've been
thank God.
Been doing a bit of a deep dive into Brene Brown's work.
Shout out.
Her and Adam Grant did a great podcast series on Brene's new book, Strong Ground.
Yep.
Recommend. I just chewed through those. But they talk a bit about values, and it made me think a bit more about whether I can articulate my values now as to compared to when I last did a bit of an assessment or a
elicitation
of values, which was probably a while ago. And I've actually got a note on my phone that's pinned at the top, which is good. My values and principles.
I'll put that on a t-shirt.
And I try to look at it regularly, just as like a reminder and also as a prompt, I guess, for, again, decision-making for how I go about my life. And I had 6 values and 2 emerging values. And I think that the values, the 6 that I had, I don't know if... I think there's too many, actually. I think like it's spreading too thin between these words or feelings that maybe don't add a lot of value or insight to how I want to show up. Yeah. And they do mean something to me. They still definitely have meaning, but I think you can distill them down.
So, and I'm pretty sure that Brene Brown talks about this with Adam Grant. There's 2 types of values, right? There's our terminal or core values. Yep. It's like
for sure.
The end. It's the end thing. It's the where you land when you chew down each of your words. So you might have 6 words, but and those words as transient values or as whatever I can't remember the term, even though I presented on it like 3 weeks ago to our interns. Those values that then facilitate the growth or the connection to the other values. Like for me, I say people and place are like 2 of my values, right? Yep. Like I want to spend time in places I love to be, places I can contribute to, with people that that make me want to be a better version of myself, that can also contribute to that thing, right? Like people and place, then for me, they're transient values because the underlying terminal value for me is love and to love and be loved, and then probably an element of what's the word I'm looking for, like being able to put your roots down and being and it's community, but it's almost like environment, like Virtus for me is it's 4 walls, a bunch of equipment, in reality, it doesn't necessarily matter, but it is a space that facilitates the connection to place, which I might have to redo my values and figure out 'cause, it's probably just love as well, or maybe it's the stability or the the contribution might be it
for sure.
So for me, it's contribution, it's love, and then the growth and development side, it's these conversations, it's training, it's time with the girls. They're the 3 things that underpin my decision making, and I know yours are relatively similar.
Things just came up then. So I think my values have certainly changed since becoming a dad.
Yeah.
And the decisions that I would have made 5 years ago are different to how I would make decisions now. I was just looking at my note. I had 2 emerging values.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember when I first wrote this down. No, I don't know. I don't have
the date.
The date, but was courage and fun.
Good.
And I feel like that fun value has really has emerged just by being a dad, and you're playing all the time, and especially Miles is such a play-driven boy. It's that overrules everything.
Yeah.
So I also have some dad principles that I wrote down.
Go on.
Um,
Share them with the class.
there's a couple,
If you're up for
of
it.
course. And I wrote these down.
This is how I feel about your dad principles.
Smells like potential.
Sorry. Carry on.
I wrote these down before Miles was born,
Oh, that's cool.
and I haven't changed them.
That's really cool.
Number
Why haven't
one.
you told me about this?
Number one, always be up for a game of dinosaurs. It's never too much effort.
Oh, good.
And the way that rings true right now, T-Rex is the favourite right now. So,
Is he ready to watch Jurassic Park? Put him in. I reckon he's ready to go.
just fast forward through a few bits.
Just don't tell Sally Ann.
Yeah, raise our family in a house full of kindness, fun and love.
Good.
Put your damn phone down.
I need some of that at the moment.
Be there when they look up.
Yeah.
Be a Sherpa. So
Good.
guide my kids, walk the path beside them. Say I love you without expecting them to say it back.
Good.
There's a few in there, but
That's elite. It's good for me.
yeah. So again, pinned at the top. Try to look at that often.
Love
Coming back to my values, I think, there's certainly a couple of these which still ring true, but they don't have the same. They don't have that like real resonance that kind of speaks to me on a really deep level. I think, without looking at them anymore, I think at the moment, growth and development is definitely something I value, but isn't something that is driving a lot of my decision making at the moment.
Yeah. There's almost like a contraction piece to that.
Totally.
Whereas the play and fun and joy and love is massive, massive expansion.
I think service is always going to be something that is really true to me.
Yep.
Service to, but the context changes. Service to my family, service to my community.
Yep.
So that
This is the future mayor of Mornington for those playing around.
Absolutely. Well, never say never.
Put that on your bingo card.
Leadership
Yeah.
is something that I care about a lot, and
which is something that we've spoken about a lot over the years. But like, give us your definition or your how that's showing up for you in your life and how it's resonating for you at the moment.
Again, I'm on the Brene Brown train at the moment. So her definition of leadership is the courage to see the potential in others and then to develop that potential.
Yeah, good.
So I really love that definition. I don't think it's like the definition for me. And I don't think I have a definition. I think I've thought about this a lot the last few years. There's no real one definition of leadership for me. I think it is absolutely dependent on context. Everyone can and is a leader in different ways. I think courage is a big aspect of that. I think integrity is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And care. I think. I think care. That's probably a contender for the for one of my terminal values.
Yeah, good.
And we, with Miles, we talk about kindness a lot, and that is like a like a transient value of care. Yeah, because that is.
It's almost like the transient values can be just actions and how you actually facilitate that terminal value.
Yep.
Because to use your example before of being there when when he looks up, like that's an action for love and creating space for him to be who he is becoming.
And I think you just triggered something there, which is maybe the easiest way to recognise a value is when you're not in alignment with your values.
Yeah.
Which is like if you're not being kind and that really hurts you, then you kind of know you're operating outside of your values, and that is something that means a lot to you.
Yeah.
So it's just a different lens or a different way to look at decision making in life. And
and you can almost look at that in a there's the really micro action right then example of doing the thing or not doing the thing, but then there's also the maybe zoomed out macro big, like, am I living my life the way I want to live? And I think that words like purpose and mission and all of those things. And I think we've spoken over the years, but like what gives me energy, or what fills me up, or but also what takes it away. And you mentioned burnout before, and we haven't spoken about it yet, but it's almost like, and yes, we can work too hard and do too much and be doing what we love and still burn out. But I think for the most part, burnout is a symptom or an outcome from not living by your values and not being able to facilitate the shit that's most important to you day to day. And we can live outside of that for reasons that have nothing to do with us. It can be, because we have to do A, B, C for our family, or we have to do, we have to live a life that isn't aligned with the kind of person we become. But we also have the capacity for change. Yeah, I like that. For those playing at home, Coop used to do a seminar for our community called The Power of Change. So if you want him to do it again, he will. You just need to ask. Which was a brilliant aspect of, like, how do we action change? Because ultimately our job as coaches and leadership is to be able to facilitate behaviour change and to help people move from where they are to where they want to be. And I think that if we realise that we're either not living in allegiance to our values, or we're not doing the things that fill us up, then we have the capacity to change. But there is a massive amount of friction in changing and in actually carving out the space to feel like we're capable of making that step.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it comes, it's full circle back around to, like, practices and actions that will take you in the direction that you want to go. And I'm sure there's some sort of model out there which is around, like, the actions, the environment that you're in, the people you surround yourself with, that facilitate the change that you want to create for yourself.
Yes. Well, it's almost that, like, I love the, like, theoretical model of change as, like, a really simple, like, what stage of change are you actually in for that particular thing, right? Like, most people, and you've done it for reasons that I would like to think aren't because I hated it, but you've shifted jobs out of this place into the corporate world, and you've facilitated a lot of change, being both in your roles you've been in over the last few years and as a coach at Virtus. But fundamentally there needs to be an awareness of what needs to change and a desire to change before we can even start thinking about actually shifting that. So what, from your perspective, do you feel as though is, like, integral to someone who's like, I'm just not feeling aligned with the way I want to live my life and I think I need to change, but I don't know what it is?
There's a few parts to that. There's certainly a push or pull that creates change, or that is the impetus for change. You're pushing away from something, or you're being pulled toward something else. Yeah. And those are both they're both valid. I think, my move away from Virtus was certainly like a pull toward something else and not a push away from here.
I took it personally. I still take it personally.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
The fact that I'm still here means that this place is important to me.
And it was cool because it was like, it wasn't necessarily what we both wanted, but it was a massive reason for growth both ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. I think, like, this place is potentially far better than it could be than if I stayed, right? Like, maybe the change was...
I'd tell you the opposite now, but outside of conversations with you, I probably agree.
But the change was the thing that maybe triggered further growth.
Yes.
Yes. And so...
And there's two outcomes to any big change, and this, like, I think you either realise that it was what you needed and there's growth, or you realise it wasn't and there's growth. So it's like and I say this as a bit of a throwaway line, but I think and I'm very grateful and privileged to be in a position where I talk to a lot of people about either behaviour change from a training perspective, or we have a relationship and there's the trust to be able to have conversations around like changing jobs or changing, shifting big aspects of their life.
Yeah.
I'm yet to meet anyone that's gone through a process of desiring change and wanting change to then make a big change and regret it wholeheartedly. There's always elements of positivity, and there's things you miss and things that are different. But the capacity to be like, I'm going to do this thing because it's what I align with and what's most important to me now.
Yep.
Later on, like the other stuff later on will take care of itself.
Yeah. And I think it's almost like a recency bias thing where the hard thing is right in front of us. And that's the only thing that we see, where we can't see that the road ahead has benefits, or like the path that we're about to walk on is going to lead somewhere great.
Yep.
And so we need to be able to move through the resistance, that initial resistance, to go on the path. And, one of my favourite quotes is travel of the path is made by walking, and that's not the entire thing, but
there is no path.
There is no path. The path is made by walking. So, taking steps and actually just making progress, moving forward, sometimes into the unknown, sometimes not, but that is what creates growth, and or not just growth, but maybe growth, maybe it's stability, maybe it's clarity.
Yes.
But it is good for you.
Yes. And I think before we wrap up, I think the thing that we need to have the capacity to do is for me, it's take action, and then, take action because you think it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
And then you can adjust as you go. Like, I think, making no decision is a decision, and staying in what doesn't serve you. And, there's a Nassim Taleb quote that's, the two most addictive things in our existence are heroin and a monthly salary. It's like two things that, it's really easy to just stay like fine.
For sure. Yeah.
One of my mates who quit his stable job, and Dools quit his stable job to become a stand-up comedian. He posted something the other day and being like I was in a job and it was fine, but there's nothing okay with fine. You think of like parking fines, and he used a handful of other examples. Like, that's actually pretty good. But it allowed, it was the thing that he's like, this is pretty good, but also the capacity for better, right? Like,
what's the opportunity cost of just staying the same, right?
Yeah. And everyone has different reasons for doing it or not doing it, but ultimately, what's the awful thing is that everyone has their reasons, which we've quoted Logan's learnings a little bit today. But we've all got our reasons to do or not do the thing. But fundamentally, if you're feeling like there needs to be a shift, it's probably the right choice. I've got two questions for you to finish off.
Okay.
What are you most proud of?
Easy. Family. Might cry.
Awesome. Shout out to the Coopers. What a good bunch. And what are you most excited for?
I'm really excited to go out for dinner tonight. Mr. Vincenzo's with friend Sam, who has been living in Norway for the last few years, and get to share some time and space with him.
Good.
Broadly, I'm excited. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. I'm excited for 2026. I think it's going to be a good year. I'm really excited to
reframe that for me.
It will be a good year.
Thank you. Stories we tell ourselves.
Yes. No, it will be a good year. I think there's some potential opportunities for growth, which I think I'm at the stage where I'm have the capacity to explore.
Yeah.
I'm excited to continue watching Miles grow into the fun, happy little boy he is. I'm excited to see and watch Sally Ann build her business next year, which is awesome. I'm excited to be here more, hopefully.
That's good for morale across the board.
Yeah, I think there's it's a perspective thing, right? There's always lots to be excited about. It's just raising your head and looking up and taking a look around.
Yeah, nice. Well, mate, it's been a pleasure.
Always.
Good from you. Any more? Anything to add to any words of wisdom to drop to finish off with?
Share, like, subscribe.
Good. Mate, I'm very proud of you. It's a pleasure as always. Get around him. He's a king.